Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Ali, Coram, Justin Nielsen here with the breakdown of the action in today's session, Wednesday, November 8th, where it seems like we could be getting the pause we want. Small caps, another issue. We'll get to that. But Justin, your thoughts briefly on today's action, and just give us a preview of the couple of stocks we'll be checking in on.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of ask for a pause, and then when you get it, it's like, oh, what? You get a little nervous, right? But yeah, look, after moving up 8.7% off its bottom, the Nasdaq did warrant a break, and that's kind of what it's doing. But let's talk about a few of the stocks that we'll cover today. Axon on earnings, Eli Lilly, some news out on that, and then also Dell setting up pretty nicely.
Okay, we'll take a look at those three stocks, but first, let's analyze those major indexes. So the Nasdaq today up a little less than 0.1%. The S&P 500 up 0.1%. The Dow taking a little bit of a break today, down 0.1%. Small caps, though, a little bit of a struggle area with the Russell down 1.2% today. And this comes even as we saw a further pullback for those Treasury yields.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where you would expect that the 10-year Treasury yield coming down would actually take a little pressure off the Russell 2000. I mean, that was one of the things that was blamed for its underperformance because of how much that yield was rising. But certainly, this is something Ed and I talked about yesterday. It's amazing how similar the Russell 2000 and RSP, the equal weighted S&P 500, look to each other. So the pullback. The pullback is real. It's maybe not getting shown as well on the NASDAQ composite,
Right.
which is kind of going a little flat. But there are a few more decliners than advancers. And the equal weighted S&P 500 and the small caps. You can throw the mid caps in there too with MDY, which is the S&P 400 mid cap index, showing a little bit more of a pullback, and right there at the 50-day moving average line for a lot of these indexes, RSP included. So
Right.
it does show that we're still kind of in this market where the big mega cap tech is kind of doing a lot of heavy lifting for us, and we're not necessarily quite out of the woods elsewhere.
Right. Okay. And then we already looked at the 10-year yield. Let's check in quickly on the dollar. Not a whole lot of movement there. So I guess if we have sort of a trading range established, or, that's what we'd be talking about for the treasury yields. If they can just stabilize, right, that would be helpful. But we'll also take a continuation of them coming in too,
Yeah, yeah, right.
if that adds a little fuel to the equity fire.
Well, and I guess this is where I'm a little torn, because if the Fed is relying on the
Uh,
10-year Treasury yield to do some of the work
true,
for them, if it comes in
true.
too much, does the Fed then, oh, well, now we have to act? And,
Yeah,
that kind of messes up the narrative.
balancing act.
So I
Right.
think
You're right. Careful
let's
what
go
we
with
wish
your
for.
first. Yeah, let's go with your first thing, where it's just
Yeah.
kind of a trading range, a little back and forth. It gets people used to the new normal that, hey, yes, we aren't going to have low interest rates forever, and it's just going to get more back to normal. So I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it will take some adjusting.
hmm Okay, let's check out some stocks. So Axon, AXON, this was an earnings mover today, a move of over 6%, volume behind the move as well. We did see a deceleration on the earnings side, but it was still a strong 70% growth number there for earnings, and a slight acceleration on the revenue side, up 33% this quarter. Also an improvement on the margin side of things here, Justin. But talk to us about the levels that you're seeing on this stock. Was this actionable today, or what are some of the signals that you're looking at?
Well, now we're coming into this issue of a lot of breakouts happening, and can we trust breakouts again, right? For a lot of the last year or two, it's kind of been, oh, breakouts, I don't know. And it's breaking out right into an area of resistance. So if you look at the weekly chart on this, there really is kind of a lot of space here where if you look back in the March 23 quarter, this is exactly where a lot of congestion right around this price area happened. So the question is it going to kind of do the same right here where it gets into that price congestion, or is this the start of a move out into new high
Hmm.
ground? So that's going to take a little bit of time to resolve itself one way or the other. But certainly you can't deny that it had a strong reaction to earnings, very positive, some volume behind it. And look, you might look at, oh, well, deceleration from 150% the prior quarter to 70% this quarter. But look, 70% is no slouch.
Right. Not
So
at
that's not
all.
too bad.
Not at all. Not at all. Good context there. Okay. We will have to see what happens from here. Also, want to take a look at Eli Lilly today. This one moving on news, which at first we thought that it was, kind of just like expected. Okay. We knew that this approval was coming. Justin, please chime in with more details. But then it started picking up throughout the day, clearing day highs in the afternoon and rising even higher from there to finish the day with a pretty decent gain of 3.3% in some volume, the highest upside volume since the quarterly report in August.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I can't really add anything more to that, Ali, because I thought Manjaro was already approved.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm seeing the commercials. It wasn't approved already. So and
maybe for whatever use case that they're,
But no, absolutely.
yeah,
It's definitely the use case. It's a diabetes drug that's now being used for weight loss in the same way that Ozempic and Wegovy for Novo Nordisk. So that really is the issue here, which again everyone expected, and there was really no movement at all when that news came out because again it was very expected. But still, there was a reaction here eventually, as you showed on the intraday chart. So a lot of volume behind it today, and I think it just kind of reminded people that look, both Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly have something special here with their weight loss drugs, or the drugs that they were using for diabetes that are now being able to be used for weight loss. And Novo Nordisk has come out with a lot of other uses for this for their same drug, and you almost wonder if Eli Lilly is going to be doing the same. So certainly a nice move by Eli Lilly. This is one of the leaders. If you go again to look at the Eli Lilly weekly chart, you can just see that this has pretty much held that 10-week moving average line. For as much as these pullbacks, did have some sharpness to it, the 10-week moving average line has really contained this move, and it's had a nice move for most of this year. This is arguably one of the leaders.
yeah. Totally agree with you, Justin. Let's now take a look at Dell. This was our stock of the day, seeing a double bottom breakout with a blue dot. We've got earnings coming up in just about 2 weeks' time. I think perhaps maybe the one sticking point with the breakout this week is we're not seeing an avalanche of volume, but would you say that this is still a relatively decent volume profile? It peaked above average on the breakout day and is holding the gain.
Yeah, so we did actually talk about this, Ken and I think, on the Monday stock market today video on that day. And what I like about it is that it's holding. That's the thing that we were seeing before with breakouts is sometimes the failure would be immediate. What have we seen this time around? It basically kind of had an inside day. That's where the low is higher than the previous day's low, and the high is lower than the previous day's high. So you're basically kind of tracing out a little bit of a pause here, but it's not giving up any ground. And I think that's what we want to see more of in the indexes, in the stocks that are leading, because that's showing power. Now, one of the things you do have to be careful of, there was all of that breakout activity, some volume on it as well, and we are basically going to be running into earnings not too far in the future. So that's something to be keeping in mind. We have a lot of earnings season behind us, and we've got a lot of things already done, but there are still those to come. So you have to be very aware of whether or not your stock is on that list, and sometimes the competitors, as we've seen. Sometimes
Right.
it's the competitors that will jolt your stock one way or the other.
Mhm.
So you do have to be aware of that as well.
Right. Competitors, supplier, customers,
Yes.
theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be lots of
There's all
different.
sorts of ways they can get you.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, that is it for today, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, and we hope you join us, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. We'll see you there, and we'll also see you right back here tomorrow at the close.